One of the great things about working in this field is I get to work with families who never cease to inspire me in their efforts to help their child recover from an eating disorder. I'm constantly amazed at how parents can show such strength, courage, and determination in helping their child recover. From my experience, I've noticed that families that do particularly well with recovery have a few similar approaches to the recovery process. The first approach is that they view recovery not as an endpoint, but as a process. It's a journey. I think this is difficult for parents to grasp sometimes because they're so afraid about something bad happening to their child or their child dying from the illness. But I think it's really important to remember that it's not where you end up that matters most, but how you get there. So thinking back to the example of teaching your child how to ride a bike, it's not the skill of riding a bike that really matters in the long run. It's all the lessons about life and family that your child learns in the process of learning how to ride a bike. So those lessons are, is it okay for me to fall? Will my parents help me stand back up? Will they judge me or not love me if I'm not as good at this as they want me to be? These are the important lessons. So I think it's the same way with an eating disorder. You have to think about the process of recovery, and it's not just where you end up in the long run, but how you get there. The second approach is to view all mistakes as learning opportunities. This is key because there is no roadmap to recovery. There's no right way to recover from an eating disorder. Every patient and family has to discover their own path towards recovery. And from my experience, this path tends to be a windy one. Typically, it's 3 steps forwards and 2 steps back. So it's important to realize that recovery is a trial and error process, and that in that process, you can learn a lot of important lessons. It teaches you that it's okay not to be perfect, that you learn more from your failures than you learn from your successes, and that if you don't get something the first time, you keep on trying. These are incredibly important lessons for somebody with an eating disorder to learn, because people with eating disorders have a tremendous fear of failure. My patients often tell me that they don't want to try something new unless they're absolutely guaranteed that they will be successful or perfect at it the first time. But I think we all know that this just isn't realistic in the adult world. The third approach is for parents to be open and curious about change in themselves. I think it's important to realize that the patient is not the only person who changes through the recovery process. We all change. I, as a psychiatrist, am constantly changing how I think about eating disorders, treatment, and recovery based on my experiences with my clients. And parents need to realize that they're going to change too. In fact, the whole family is going to change. Recovery doesn't mean going back in time and for everybody to be the same person they were before the illness started. Recovery just doesn't work that way. Instead, I think parents need to realize that this is an opportunity for everybody to learn and grow and to reflect on who they are and how they became the people they are. I have noticed that the parents who are able to be open and embrace this change and reflection in themselves are the ones who are best able to cope with all the ups and downs of the recovery process. Approach number 4 is for parents to practice good self-care. This means not allowing the eating disorder to completely dominate the family's life, but for parents to take good care of themselves and to model for their children that it's okay to have fun, it's okay to relax, and it's okay to engage in small indulgences like getting a massage, watching TV, or getting a manicure. I think for eating disorder patients, this is particularly important because having an eating disorder is kind of like having a prison guard in your own brain. That prison guard is constantly telling your child that you have to work harder, that you don't deserve fun, and that you're bad and that you have to work to become a better person. And so the more that parents are able to model for their child having fun and relaxing, the easier it is going to be for the child to disobey the prison guard and to have fun. It's important that parents realize that recovery from an eating disorder is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It takes time. Research shows that it takes 5 to 7 years for an adolescent to recover from an eating disorder. So it's so important that parents don't burn out and they take good care of themselves so that they're able to be there for their child through the long run. Even though eating disorders are very serious illnesses, they're also highly treatable illnesses. In fact, research shows that the vast majority of adolescents fully recover from their eating disorder. So when parents ask me, once somebody has an eating disorder, does that mean that they will always struggle with eating and have an eating disorder? And my answer is invariably no. Here at Children's Hospital, we have the privilege of watching children and adolescents recover from eating disorders all of the time.